My name is Sunil Agarwal. I did my astrology from Bharti Vidya Bhavan in the year 2007, and then I did my research under Sri K. Rao, and then I also learned Nadi astrology. And today I am just going to discuss how to enter in a horoscope. See, normally what I have seen is most of the astrologers, when you ask a question, they see your birth chart and they start looking at the Lagna and Lagna Lord. But the basic concept of life cycle, I will first explain. You see, when a mother or a woman goes on a family way, the Atma enters the horoscope from the fifth house. And after that, the development of the body takes place in the fourth house. And when the Atma takes in the shape of a Janma, when the person is born, the Atma reaches the Lagna. So after that, the person who's born, the baby who's born, is looked after by the parents or the caretaker. Then he cannot do anything himself. So what does that mean? That means the 10th house is not activated. And after he does his karma, then when the life cycle ends, the Atma exits from the 9th house. Now, this life is just like a pendulum of watch. If you see from Lagna, in olden days we had a watch which had a pendulum which used to move left and right. Now, if we consider in the horoscope, this is the fulcrum of the watch. The fulcrum, this is the Lagna, and this is the free will in the horoscope. Now, this pendulum keeps on touching. It connects the 7th house, 5th house, and the 9th house. Now, what does that mean? That means the 5th house, 7th house, 9th house, and Lagna are the most important parameters in the chart. Now, since the Atma enters from the 5th house, the condition of the 5th house is most important. Normally, nobody looks at the 5th house. If 5th house is strong, that means your Puru Punya is very strong. And if your 5th house is connected with the 10th house, which is Swarg, then a person will enjoy the benefits of the previous Janma Karma. Now, in case the 5th house is afflicted and it is connected to the 10th house, and the dasha of the 5th house comes, a planet which is afflicting the 5th house, then he may suffer, and he may suffer due to his ill karmas in the previous janma. Now, when you see the pendulum, it keeps on going, touches the 5th house, 7th house, and 9th house. And when the life comes to an end, and which is when we take the last breath from the 10th house, this pendulum stops, and that is why the 7th house is called the Maraksthana. Now, since it keeps on touching the 5th house, 7th house, and 9th house, so it reminds us that our life is connected to our present dharma, 9th house, and the previous janma. So, whatever we do in this janma, we will also get the results of the same. Normally, the other thing is, which I have noticed that no astrologer bothers, is about the Garbshishta planets. The Garbshishta planets are the dasha at birth. It is balance of dasha. When a woman goes on a pregnant, from that time, what is the balance when the Atma takes the shape of a person? So, that balance of dasha is very important, especially the Dasha Lord and the Antardasha Lord. They are the seeds of our life. In 5 minutes, we can find out from the Dasha and Antardasha how will be the condition of this native. Will he have free will in his life? What sort of life he is going to lead? And his marriage, his diseases, his career, everything can be seen from the Garbhashishta planets. Garbhashishta planets we have to see with respect to the Lagna, Lagna Lord, 5th house, 10th Lord, and Moon. If they are placed well, from the 10th house, and the 5th house is connected to 10th house, and malefic planets are connected to the 5th house and the 10th house. It may be a malefic, but if the malefic 10th lord is connected to the 5th house, it is extremely good. Then a person enjoys the benefits of the previous life. This article was published. I had written an article and given this article to Star Teller, which was published in March 2018, and the page is 32. If you want to see the details, what I am talking about, then you can go to my website, astrodoc, www.astrodocunil.com, and you on the right hand side on top with the search column is you can write Garbshishta planets, and you will find a 4-page detailed report on this. That's all I wanted to tell you how to enter in a horoscope. Now, next, other things what I would like to tell you is for the Shakun and omens. Shakuns and omens in life. If they are used properly, then one can predict so many things. You will get the answer even without seeing the horoscopes. You will get the answer. So I will like to tell you something about this. On my website, I have made 14 psychic predictions using the Shakun and Omen, and I will tell you on this how I have solved so many of my problems with the Shakun and Omens. In the year 1973, at that point of time, I was not an astrologer, and I had done my engineering in the year 1971, and my parents were looking for a match for me. And there were a lot of people who were coming since I was working in Esports Limited, and I used to go to Faridabad in the morning and I used to come back in the evening, and then I literally got cheesed off by people coming and going and nothing materializing. So one day I told my parents that this Sunday will be the last day for deciding a match, for deciding any marriage match, and in case it does not happen, then we will postpone it for 2-3 months. Now, what happened on Sunday morning, as you know, people give advertisements and people look for matches only on Sundays. In the morning when I got up, I saw a car. In those days, in 1973, we used to sleep outside in the verandas. And when I got up, I saw a car moving around my house and a girl sitting at the back, and maybe the parents were sitting in the front. Just 3 minutes after, the car again came back and they were looking at our house. I could make out that they have come to find out the position, the location where we are staying. And my grandmother was sleeping just next to me. I told her that today my marriage will be fixed. She said, "How, son, how are you telling this?" I said, "This is the first thing what I've seen." I told my father that this is the last Sunday, and the first thing when I get up, I see a girl sitting at the back and the parents sitting in the front, and they see the car moving, to and fro in front of my house, and which was the first thing I saw. So I told my grandmother that within 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, wherever they live, they will leave the place and they will call maybe in about 30 to 35 minutes. So surprisingly, we got a call after 35 minutes, and I picked up the call, and surprisingly, as what I was expecting, they wanted to come for the match. And I told them my father was out for a walk, and the moment he comes, he'll call you back. So when my father came, I told my father if he had fixed any apartment to cancel those apartments and call this party immediately, as early as possible. 11 o'clock these people came, and I asked my servant to just go and see if it was an ambassador car with a double color, brown and beige, and the servant confirmed it. So Thereafter, you will be surprised I got married there. So, nature in fact guides you every time. It is we that we have to listen to the call of the nature and communicate with nature. Another example, in 2002, a neighbor girl who was the age of my daughter, she came to me. She knew that I do a little bit of astrology, and she came to me and she showed her horoscope to me. And she asked me, Uncle, when shall I get married? I still remember she had Jupiter in Lagna, and she's probably 1975 born, August 1975 born. I still remember, and uh, I saw Jupiter in her Lagna and the Pratantra Dasha of Jupiter ending on the 31st of July that particular year. So I told her that this Jupiter Dasha, Pratantra Dasha, before it finishes on the 31st of July 2002, your marriage will be fixed. So she went running to her parents, and as you know, in India, we do advertisements through newspapers. Her father gave an advertisement in the newspaper, and I told her that some good-looking boy will come from the north or maybe from Chandigarh. So there were applications, and surprisingly, she got a similar application as I had mentioned. And she came and she showed me the picture of the boy, and I told her, yes, you will get married to this gentleman. After a few months, one day when my son, who was also in Chandigarh, he came for his vacations, and we were just trying to go out. I was just trying to drive out of my driveway, and just then I saw a very smart looking third gentleman, and I was talking to my family that since I don't have any person or a friendship like him, and maybe that this gentleman has come to check the references of this girl for marriage. So, and when I approached him, I found the same thing. Now, from this, I could predict that this marriage will happen. Why? Because if this gentleman had come 3 minutes after we would have left, he would have not met us. Nature made sure that we meet him and we give him a good reference of the girl. Later on, our marriage was fixed as I had predicted before 31st of July 2002, and she got married in December 2002. So, what my point is that nature made sure in this case that the gentleman who had come to check the references meets me, because if he had come 2 minutes later, he wouldn't have met me, and after 10 minutes, he had to catch a train from Nizamuddin, just about a kilometer and a half from my house. I will give another example. In the year 2009, I was in the astrology class and some girls were talking. Just then, one of the girl students, she said that her mother-in-law had cancer. I intervened and I told her I will tell you the date when uh, when the cancer was diagnosed for your mother-in-law. She said, the girl said that you don't have any details. How will you tell it? I said, well, I know one principle in Jyotish, that is Rahu is Rog Harnam and Ketu is Rog Karnam. So whenever Rahu Ketu they change signs, and especially the 10th house, if it has Rahu or Ketu, because 10th house from the 7th house is the house of the mother-in-law. So I told her, I asked her, do you have Rahu in the 10th house? She said yes. I said, is your Lagna Aries? She said yes. I said, Rahu, as it transited over the Rahu in your natal chart in the 10th house, which is the 4th house from the 7th house. So the 7th house is the spouse, and the 4th house from the 7th house is the mother of the spouse. So mother-in-law for this girl. And I told her the day was 6th May 2008, and she got cheesed off, and she was surprised that we have just started learning astrology, and I could predict so accurately. Yet another case when Rahu Ketu changed on on 14th January 2013. Uh, uh, Rahu was again in the sign Scorpio, the sign most important for Cancer, and ingressing in Libra. And my wife was diagnosed with cancer. Same day, I lost my diamond ring. So diamond is Venus, and I could make out that since diamond is Venus, and Venus is marriage, and the declination of Venus is 8, and my age is 64, I touched 64, so the problem is in a marital life, and my wife could suffer. So in fact, in January, she experienced a lump in her left breast, and the same day I had lost the diamond ring. So I could make out that the cancer will be diagnosed in her case. Now, while we were approaching the diagnostic center, an amazing thing happened. You see, what happens when you go on the road, and if you are alert, you can predict so many things. So the path on which we were traveling towards the diagnostic center, it was being cleaned by a sweeper. It was dirty, but whatever path on which we were traveling, it was clean, and he was cleaning in front of us. So I told my wife that cancer will be diagnosed, but it will be cleaned since we are walking on a clean road. The other thing what I said was that since we are impatient, we are walking a little fast, the disease will be diagnosed fast and it will also end fast. Similar things happened. So what I am trying to tell you that we have to establish a relation with nature, and nature always guides us. Talking about Rahu, the most powerful in hierarchy of planets, I predicted about the famous girl, Priya Prakash Warrior, who got 5 lakh tweets on one day, and there was a court case against her in the probably for the song. I had predicted that this girl will do very well, and the Supreme Court case will be quashed and it will be freezed. How I did it, because there was when the news came, it was that the 19-year-old girl. So what happened? The cycle of Rahu is 19 years. After 18.5 years, it comes back to the natal position. So if somebody is getting famous at this position, then the Rahu is very strong. And in hierarchy of planets, Rahu is the most powerful planet. So I could predict, even without seeing her chart, that she will do well. Yet another case, similar one, Anil Ambani was facing problems and his company, he was going bankrupt. My wife asked me, what will happen to Anil Ambani? Can you predict about him? I said, yes, I can predict. I said, Anil A, I don't have his birth details. I have Anil is A is Aries, Ambani is also Aries. And fortunately, the day on which my this news came, Mars was an Aries sign, and Mars is also Karka for brothers. So I told her that the Karka for brothers is very strong in the transit, and the Ambani's family will help him, and his brother helped him, and he got out of the trouble. I did not see any chart. So what I am trying to tell you is, you have to see, you have to mix so many things. Yet another thing, I was in Dubai way back in 2008, and one of my clients, he called me up and he asked me about one commodity, whether he should sell or buy. I was going up the escalator, I had climbed about 28 steps out of 30 steps, and I told the client that the price has already reached the top. And after, climbing the escalator, I was to travel on a floor. That means after maybe 1 or 2 days, the prices will become stagnant. So I told him that since the prices will become stagnant and they are on the highest level, you must sell it. and because after that I had to climb down. So I told him that after a few days the prices may come down, and exactly that is what happened. He sold his stocks and made money, and after a few days he confirmed that the prices of the stock had gone down. So nature had indicated there again. In yet another case, my daughter-in-law appeared for an interview, and she asked me, Papa, will my salary be increased? Can I negotiate my salary? I said, the day was probably Friday, and I said, if you can do the negotiation before Sunday, then it will be good. Otherwise, your salary may not be increased. But just then, my wife asked for a cold drink and asked me to put some ice cubes in the cold drink. I went up to the fridge, picked up some cubes and put it in the cold drink. I found when I picked up there were four cubes. So I immediately told my daughter-in-law that the salary, if your salary is divisible by 4, you will not get any increase. If the salary is not divisible by 4, then you can ask a salary, next salary, which will be divisible for 4. And surprisingly, this is what happened. She was offered $4,600, and as I suggested, divisible by 4, she could negotiate to 4,800. Again, nature had indicated, because I had picked up 4 cubes, any number which was divisible by 4 would be the salary what she will get. In the second week of June 2016, a client came to me and he asked me for a glass of water. I told him not to tell me any of his whereabouts, not his birth chart, not his problems. Now, looking at the way he drank the water, I could predict so many things. He was impatient and he drank the water as if a person comes out of a jail. What water? I immediately looked at the watery signs. Watery signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. For Cancer sign, Moon is the Lord, and Moon was debilitated on that day. Next sign is Scorpio. The Lord of the Scorpio sign is Mars, and Mars was fallen. It had touched Scorpio, and it had, in retrogression, it went back in Libra, and it was fallen. And a fallen planet is supposed to be most venomous. For Pisces, the Lagna Lord is Jupiter, and Jupiter on that day was in the 6th from itself. That means from Pisces it was in Leo with Rahu, degree conjunct. So all the 3 watery signs, the planets were afflicted, and watery signs and are controlled by north direction, and north direction is controlled by Kuber. So I told the client that he has a question for wealth, and supposing in the glass, because he did not look a person like to be of lakhs, he looked a person like to be of crores. So I said, suppose there were 10 crores in the glass, you have already drank 8 crores. So, and 2 crores are left in the glass, and the glass I took away and I put it in the tank. That means that 2 crores cannot be used. So I asked him, I asked him, if those 2 crores were in the bank, as a bank security. He said yes. I told him that he was suffering from 3 problems. He had 3 questions. I told him, first of all, it is about wealth. The second is about Mars, because Mars is fallen. So one of his brothers is handicapped, because when Mars is fallen and a question comes about Mars, a brother can be handicapped. And I told him that he is getting the responsibility of the handicapped brother for 7 years, because the dasha of Mars is 7 years, and his age may be 27, because the declination of Mars is 27. He was amazed that both the things what I mentioned were correct. And I also told him that Mars is also karka for built up property. So there can be a court case for the built up property. he told me that all the three questions which I told him were on dot. On 14th June 2017, a lady called me up and she wanted to consult me. I told my charges and she was a little taken aback. She said the charges are very high. I said, okay, you don't come, but I will tell you what is the color of clothes you are wearing. She said, how can you tell that? I said, hold on. You see, astrology, and if the astrologer knows all the whereabouts, all the qualities of the planets, all the color of the planets, then one can even tell when a lady is falling, what is important. When a lady is falling and the connection of Saturn and Moon is there, it is supposed to be most malefic. And Saturn was going to fall on that day from one Rashi to another Rashi, and I told her that she was wearing, because Moon was also with Saturn on that day. I told her that she is wearing a white dress, white top, and white bottom. She said yes. But I said, the white top what she is wearing, she has black spots. She absolutely agreed. She said she was amazed. She said, I'll come immediately. Now watch. When she came in a white car, again in a white car. Now how I could tell that she is wearing a white and she had black spots? When Moon and Saturn are together in a case of a woman, normally the matrimonial life and the married life is disturbed. And when Saturn, at that time, the Lagna was also Sagittarius Lagna, Leo Lagna, and Saturn and Moon both in the 5th house, and Saturn about to fall. Saturn aspecting the 7th house and about to fall. The 7th Lord is about to fall. So that clearly shows that the husband has left her, and the Moon is with Saturn, and Saturn is going in a very bad state. So I could tell her something about her marriage also, which I don't want to disclose here, as the certain things are not to be disclosed. So again, what I'm trying to tell you is that nature guides us at every moment, and it is we that who ignore. Because a year back, I had a knee problem. My children told me to consult the best doctor in Delhi. So the doctor was Shekhar Agarwal, and I came to know that my cousin is very well known to him, and my wife said that we can, although the appointment may be given by him after 3 months, but since we know him, he can give us a very close appointment. But I said no, I will not go through them, because the person who is known to this doctor is ill, and I will not take a route where there is negativity. So I went to Google, searched, saw his picture, I liked the picture, and I called him at Amrit Ghati, and they asked me that they will respond back. Next day, I got a call when I had finished my shaving. Why I have mentioned finish my shaving? In shaving we use the razor, and razor we use a blade, and blade is Mars, and Mars is loss of blood. So the call came when I had finished my shaving, and it did not bleed anywhere. So I could tell my wife that the doctor would tell me no operation is needed, only some massage is needed, because when the call came, I was massaging my face. So what I am trying to tell you is that nature guides us at every moment. It is we who ignore it, and if we communicate with nature, most of our problems can be solved. Thank you.